Do you remember? Do you remember? I remember all those years.
Oh, I remember. I remember.
Welcome back to another episode of the Do You Remember podcast. I'm your host, my name's Adam Manwat, and today I'm joined by stand-up comedian Mark Antony. How are you doing, mate?
I'm all right, yeah, mate. Thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. It's good to have you on. And today we're going to be talking about something that we've got a mutual fandom for, and it's Pokemon cards. So,
Yes.
can you give us like a brief synopsis of what Pokemon cards are?
You teach me and I'll teach you.
So, Pokemon cards have been going around since around about, especially in the UK and in USA, since about '97. It's a card game where it started off as just a collector's thing because at the beginning, not many cards were around and there wasn't many mechanics to be able to play the game as such. So it was just many collections. But then as it grew and grew and more people started doing it, it became the actual card game that we see even today now, where we play. There's so many different decks you can like build to, compete with them in tournaments.
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was.
Yeah, sure, man. And obviously, like, most people's first exposure would have been like back in the late 90s. And like Pokemon cards was obviously a spin-off of the Pokemon franchise, which is,
Yeah,
it was huge for that small period of time. And then it was always there in the background, but it wasn't as big as it was. But then it had a real resurgence recently, didn't it, with Pokemon Go? But
yeah.
I mean, let's dig back into those old days then. So, when was the first time that you remember hearing about Pokemon?
I saw the original like Games Freak Nintendo advertisement for the Pokemon game on the Game Boy Color, I believe it was, or the original Game Boy.
Okay,
And
we're
I just
talking
fell in love
Pokemon
with the
Blue and Red.
characters. Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the absolutely amazing games. Just loved them straight away. It was like cute characters, and as a kid, that appeals to the fun, adventurous side of you.
Definitely, it did. Yeah, and just for a frame of reference, like, how old are you now?
I'm 31.
Yeah,
Still love
like,
Pokemon.
no, so like I'm 32, so like we're basically the same age. So we would
Oh
have
yeah.
like had basically the exact same experience, like because we're so close in age. So
Oh
like
yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I remember when I first heard about it, it was in like 1999. Like I was just leaving primary school, and there's some lads in my year group who were talking about it, but like I didn't. I kept hearing the word Pokemon, and I tried to not get involved. So I thought I don't want that in my life. I don't know what it is, but I don't want it in my life. But then about 6 months later, it ended up becoming like a huge part of my life, and I just couldn't help it. It kind of became this thing that like took over my life. So like you mentioned
Yeah.
like all the cute characters and stuff like that and like the sense of adventure, but what was it that really like pulled you in, and what was the appeal that made you a fan of like Pokemon itself?
It was mainly like the collection side of things. So like collecting the Pokemon on the games, collecting my favorite Pokemon in the cards itself. So stuff like, I mean, I'm a massive fan of Pikachu. I loved Pikachu, and even through the anime as well, and the card game and the video game, that's all I had. I had Pikachu. I mean, everyone loved Charmander because Charizard obviously is one of
Yeah.
the biggest Pokemon that you can see in the game. Basically, it's just everyone loves that card, and it's so valuable because of it.
Definitely, and it was a real triple threat of like really like getting at kids back in the day, because you had the TV show, you had the game, and you had the cards, and it was all three things. Even if each thing was a standalone thing, was great by itself. But
Oh
the
yeah,
fact they
definitely.
were all there together, and like what me and you would have been about 10, 11, 12 around this time.
Yeah,
We're the perfect age for all this stuff to really get in our brain and all that. You gotta catch 'em all. Like that is
yeah.
real. Like I love the South Park Chin Pokemon piss take where they like,
Yes, that
oh,
was
you
really
got
good.
like where they kind of showing like how much they brainwashed us into becoming big fans. And even knowing that, I'm like, I don't care. I know they really hammered it home in every episode. Catch 'em all, catch 'em all. You've got to go buy all the cards. You've got to spend all your money on it. You've got to buy the
Yeah.
games. You've got to watch all the episodes.
I
I
mean, it
absolutely loved
hit
it.
us as well because we were like you say, we were 10, 12-year-old. The protagonist, Ash, in the anime was 10 years old. So that kind
Yeah.
of related to us. And he's never aged in the series, but we've aged with him. And it's kind
Yeah.
of like we still have that. We go back to that kind of thing even now as a way of like recapturing our youth.
Definitely.
That's the whole reason why I still like it now. It's just like, of all the bad times we've had recently, the one thing that's constant and I will always enjoy is Pokemon, because it's just an escape from reality.
And that's why I wanted to do this podcast, because with everything that's going on right now, I wanted to do a nostalgia podcast. I wanted an opportunity to talk with my friends, talk with people that I know, so we could both share like an hour together, maybe 2 hours, chatting about something from the past. And then all the listeners who listen to it can also experience that going back in time with us in this time machine of a podcast.
Definitely.
And going, yeah, 99 was a great time. We can really dive back into those things that we loved.
Another thing about 1999 as well, the treble for Man United. As a Man United fan yourself, you'll appreciate that as well.
I'm not a Man United fan, but
Aren't you?
I'm not. No, I'm
Picking
not.
that out.
Nah, keep it in. We'll keep it in. Mistakes happen. We're only human, and
Yeah.
becoming a Man United fan is a massive mistake, and that's a mistake you're gonna have to live with, Mark.
Thank you.
So going back to the Pokemon cards, then, what was you mentioned like the game was the big thing. So what was it about the cards that like drew you in? What was your first impressions of the cards?
The artwork was just fantastic for its time. I mean, they were virtually hand drawn by the artists back then. Nowadays, they're all CGI'd and like it's just different kind of artwork nowadays. But back then, it was like proper drawn. Pikachu were fat,
Yeah.
and it's just like everything was so simple about it. Like even the HP, the hit points for the Pokemon were so small, like 30 HP for it, and you're like, nowadays that'd be just like nothing. It'd be wiped out straight away. But just the artwork, the colours, and they're all bright. So obviously you got your green, your blues, your reds, your yellows, purples. It's all bright colours that actually interact with a child's brain and just kind of like buzzes you a little bit in a way.
It does. And sorry, I just want to touch on something that you said before that I've just remembered. You mentioned how like Ash in the cartoon is a 10-year-old. Now, looking back as an adult, it doesn't really make much sense that a 10-year-old is going out by himself and he's exploring the land. And his mum's like, yeah, no worries, Ash. Enjoy yourself. Go wander about right by yourself.
You have a pet rat and you go fight other people.
Yeah, exactly. It's like mad. But that's kind of the genius of like whoever wrote Pokemon, whoever it was that sat down and gone, right, we're going to have a 10-year-old as the main character, because the innocence, and we can really relate to that character. If that was a grown man walking around, we as kids wouldn't really been as engaged in it, but because it was like someone our age, we were like, yeah, that's just like us. I want this escapism. I would love to do that. And I'm sure you had the exact same thing as me.
Yeah.
That idea when you was a kid where you're like, oh, I wish Pokemon was real, and like I could be walking past this bush and there'd be like a Bulbasaur inside and I could catch it.
Yeah, I would have loved that. But it's like the whole, the portable games console, having a game on that, you were walking around with your friends outside, maybe on the street, maybe in town. You've got the console there. You're catching Pokemon there. Now, before Pokemon Go came out, that was the only way you could do it out and about. You only had a few hours of battery life to do it, but it was still that exploring. You wouldn't find any different Pokemon for being in a different area, but your brain back then, mind blown.
Definitely was, and that was a huge part of the experience, was like going out with your mates, but like all playing it together. And I suppose kids have kind of lost that nowadays, because if you want to play a game together, you could just sit in your bedroom, bang your headset on, and like you're online with your mates, and like you're not getting outside. But we had to go outside and be playing out with each other, and then be like, I really want to play out, but I also really want to play Pokemon, so I'm going to go grab my Game Boy. And that's exactly how it was.
Doing trades on the game, like like Haunter, I think it was, into Ghastly, Machoke into Machamp. You had to trade them to evolve, so you had to be physically with your friends. Whereas nowadays, you do it over Wi-Fi.
And that was one of the first games.
Cable.
Yeah, that was one of the first games that I remember like that, where you had to have like other friends, because if you had Pokemon Blue, you couldn't get all the Pokemon off Red. You had to have
they're
2 Game
exclusive
Boys.
to the versions.
Exactly, yeah, and it's such great marketing. But anyway, let's go back to the cards then. So, do you remember what the first card that you got was, or like the first pack of cards, or the first big one, anything like that?
It was the original base set from the 90s, and the first amazing shiny card I got was a Venusaur.
Right. Okay.
Literally straight away, as soon as I got it, I was like, right, I'm taking this to school.
Yeah.
And it's a bad story in a way. I kind of got like, I'd say, convinced into trading it for a worse card.
Oh
and then got
no.
my cards confiscated by the teacher because we weren't allowed them in school back then.
Do you know
So
what? That's such a stupid rule as well, isn't it? But
yeah,
go on, what happened with the story?
so basically, the teacher saw us doing it, and back then they weren't really up on it. They thought it was like, I don't know. I don't know why they didn't want it in school. Maybe it was just because it was bringing something in for school that could easily get lost or stolen, and they didn't know much about it at the time. And they thought, well, it's
Yeah.
best to ban it rather than let it happen in school, and maybe kids get ripped off, which it could have happened.
The only thing that I can think of is that they might have thought it's a bit of a distraction. You're not allowed to really bring your toys
Oh
into
yeah,
classrooms, so maybe not
yeah.
allowed to bring the cards in. But it doesn't make any sense why you can't have them in the playground. Like you can have football stickers in the playground. So I
Oh
think
yeah.
teachers just being a bit nasty. Maybe they wanted the Pokemon cards on the slide. Maybe.
I definitely, yeah.
So did you lose your Venusaur then? Did you not get it back?
Um, well, I traded it with a kid, and he offered to give me it back because I had mine confiscated off me. And at the time, I think I said no to him because I didn't think it was fair.
Yeah.
But I've actually now, as an adult, 31-year-old, recently got a Venusaur back, shiny Venusaur from base set,
Wow.
which I'm really happy about.
How much did it cost you?
Um, I actually bought it in a big bundle. I bought a guy's whole collection from his childhood, and it was in
Yeah.
that collection. The whole collection cost me 250, but the Venusaur itself's worth about 40 on its own. So, and all the rest of the stuff I've sold and I've actually made a profit from. So I'm happy with it.
Good then.
Yeah.
Bang on. When you were saying that you spent 250 on it, I was like, oh, that's a lot of money on cards. But if you've managed to flip them and get some money back on it and like
Oh yeah.
end up not just with a profit, but you've also ended up with a relic from your childhood, that's a
Definitely,
massive
yeah.
win for me. That's a huge win.
Yeah, I mean, growing up in cards as well, I don't know if you remember the old pinball machines that they made. I've got a pinball machine, a handheld one,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
that's back from the 90s, early 2000s, and that's like a £30 item.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It still works, and the original
I,
Pokedex.
do you know
Just
what?
everything.
I've got a story about that pinball machine actually. I completely forgot about this till you just mentioned it, but my mate had it. My mate David had it, and I'm gonna mention him later on.
Yeah.
And we were playing it with it upstairs in his house, and like I'd managed to do something on the pinball machine where the ball was kind of stuck in a cycle and it was
No
getting
way.
tons of points, and I left it there for like 5 minutes and it was just racking up the points. Highest score ever on it. It's banging all these points through, and then we're like, oh, should we go outside and play football? Like, yeah, can we leave this on? He's like, yeah, we'll leave it on. Anyway, we leave it on. His mum comes home. She hears some racket in the bedroom. She goes and turns it off. We come in later on, and I go to see what my point score is, and she's turned it off. I'm gutted. Oh, I forgot all about that. Oh, David's mum,
That's
man. What's
brilliant.
she doing to me, Angela, man? What's she doing? But yeah, so Venusaur, like again, let's go back to what was happening in your school. So you got your cards confiscated. You never got them back off your teacher, no?
Yeah, I think I did get him back. I think
Oh,
it
you
was
did
at
get
the
them
end of
back
the day,
eventually.
though. Yeah,
But like
luckily.
your friend saying that he's willing to just give you your Venusaur back, that is a good friend, that, because I'll be honest with you, if it was me, you just traded me your Venusaur and you lost all your cards, I'm like, hey Mark, that's your problem, mate. I didn't lose my cards, you lost yours, so I'm
Yeah.
keeping this Venusaur.
I think back in the day as well, because nobody knew what they're going to be worth now.
Oh yeah.
Now that it's a stupid amount. I mean, even the base set was originally a first edition thing as well. So
Hmm.
the first edition, and there's normal. There's also a shadowless version, which is like there's
Yeah.
no border around the outside of the picture,
Hmm.
and then the shadow one with the border looks like it's come up from the actual card. So there's different variations of the same card, which are all different prices as well.
Yeah, do you know what? I only really realised that in my adult years when like I would just kind of float back onto eBay just to see how much they were, and then I would see the kind of different variations and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
just to go back to so the Venusaur was your first big card. I was back remembering that my first card, it goes back to David, was all my friends were collecting these cards. Now I mentioned that in primary school I'd heard about it and I didn't get involved. And then about 6 months later, I think it was in about October time, so I just started high school, and all my
yeah,
mates are like there on the street with the Pokemon cards. But me and my mate Alan didn't have any. And like we kind of wanted to be involved, but you know, when you're a kid, you don't really want to be like, oh, can I have it? Like you don't want to be begging a card off your friends. But I remember
no,
he turned
definitely not.
around and he gave us both a card. I don't know what he gave Alan, but he gave me just the basic Charmander card. And I
Yeah,
remember being like so buzzing that I'd got this card. Flash forward a week or so, 2-3 weeks afterwards, I realised this Charmander, it's not really worth anything. Like,
It's about
there's so
5p.
yeah, there's so many of them. But the fact that he gave it me for free, I was like, wow, now I've got a Pokemon card. Then I thought, right, I've got to collect them. So I was like begging money from my mum all the time. £2.50, which when I was a kid, it might as well have been 40 grand. It
That's
seemed
a lot,
like
yeah.
such a huge amount of money to me to go and get a pack. And when you would open them, you'd get some crap cards in there. You'd never get a shiny, and you'd be so gutted every time.
Oh,
But
yeah. It's like nowadays, like you can pay £4 a pack and get nothing, and you're feeling worse for that.
I notice it, because whenever I go to like Tesco or anywhere like that, not all the time, but every now and then I'll see the Pokemon cards, the end of the toy aisle, and I'll just have a sly little look just to see how much they are, and just because in my mind I always think if I see them and they're a decent price, I might just grab a pack and buy them for the nostalgia's sake. And I see them and they're like £4.50, and they've got like something that looks like a poker chip on the front or something like that inside
It's
it as
a
well.
coin, yeah.
Is that a coin?
I
Yeah.
mean, I did that back in 2017 because I did stop collecting when I was a kid, and I got back into it in 2017 by buying just a pack. And my mate bought me a pack, and I pulled a really, really good card, and I really liked it. That's what got me back into it again.
So I was going to ask you, like, when you stopped collecting and if you started collecting again. So let's dive into that now while we're at it.
Yeah, sure.
So you stopped collecting back in the day. Do you remember when it was that you stopped collecting?
It would have been a few years into it. Back then, obviously, the card sets, new sets came out every 3 months. So I believe it probably about a year into it, maybe. So would have been probably 98, 99.
Wow,
Maybe
that's
when I first, so I literally averted straight away, got bored and moved on to the next thing type of thing as a kid.
That was quite early. I think I stuck with it for about maybe a year or two, and a set of cards came out where there was like a lot of anon cards, I think they were called.
Yeah.
Like anonymous like Pokemons, and like we used to have to walk. It seemed like miles. I mean, it probably was miles, but it seemed like going into the Narnia back then. It was so far away, but like it was only about 2-3 miles down the road to a place called Highfield, and that was the nearest shop that sold them. We'd have to walk down there, and I made that long walk like twice. I got crap cards in there. I thought, do you know what? If I've got to come all the way down here for these new cards, I'm not even going to bother. I'm going to stop collecting, and I think that's when I stopped. But you mentioned that you picked it back up in about 2017. So was it that your mate talked you into it, or was it that you saw them in like the side of the shop, or what happened?
One of my mates I've known for a good 10 years now. He goes to like card game tournaments in like big regional tournaments, like 1,000 people go and play the game. I kept seeing him like posting it on Facebook, and I'm like, I'm quite interested in seeing what this is like. And there's a shop in my town in Wakefield that actually holds tournaments every week, like, so I'm like, I'll go down and watch it and see how it works. And then he bought me a few packs, and now at that point it's the Sun and Moon era, so we're in Sun Shield now. So Sun and Moon era with the GXs and the really nice full shiny cards, and the whole Pokemon's on the whole card instead of just in a small box, and it looks amazing. So it's like, and when I got that, I pulled a card out of that pack, which looks really nice. And from then on, I just got into it. I thought, if this is going to be how the cards look, that's amazing. I'm just going to keep on going through it.
What card was it?
It was an Ultra Beast called Necrozma, which is a fairly new mechanic in the game. There's the Ultra Beasts that come from a different dimension in Sun and Moon, and on the islands that they were on, it's like they just come through a weird portal. And at one few episodes in the anime, they go into the portal, and it's like weird, like digitally kind of words. It looks a bit like a crossover Digimon in a way.
Is it like a black sharp thing? Because I've just googled it.
Yes.
Yeah, I can see it now. It does look pretty futuristic.
Yeah, it looks quite. Doesn't look like a Pokemon as such. It looks like it's like a man-made creature, which is quite. It looks quite nice though.
So you mentioned that like you was going to the shop and like watching people play the game, and I remember when I was a kid, it was like a big thing. Like there's going to be like I'm from Bolton, obviously, and like there's a place called Falmouth, which was like closer to where we lived, and there was like Woolworths in Falmouth. They're going to have like people playing Pokemon cards like Saturday morning until 12 o'clock, and it was this like really big news, and it was like, do we go down? Do we not go down? And there's a bit of a stigma, like, oh, do you reckon if we go down, we're going to be like big nerds? So I think me and my mates, we all bottled it. In hindsight, I wish we would have gone down and checked it out. But we didn't. We all bottled it. So like, but I've always wanted to know like how the game works. So do you play the game? Yeah,
I do. Yeah, I play.
So talk me through it a little bit. What's in the enjoyable part about playing the game? Because for me, it was literally only about the shallowness of the collecting. I never really got too
Yeah.
far into it because I was too lazy to do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so I mean, the basis of the card game itself, you build a deck with 60 cards in. So
Right.
there's the Pokemon themselves. So you don't just put random Pokemon in. You make it a kind of theme. So, for example, I'm playing an electric type deck at the moment.
Right.
So you get bunch of electric type Pokemon in the deck. Ones that maybe evolve into another one, or there's some that you use to attack the other Pokemon on the other side, also the other person playing with you.
Yeah.
And there's ones on the bench that just sit there and they've got abilities maybe to attach more energy per turn, or they poison your opponent's active Pokemon
Right. Yeah.
to be able to progress the game further and to do more damage. And then you've got your supporters and items. Your supporters, you do use one per turn, so you may be able to shuffle your hand that you've got into your deck and then draw new cards. So you're not, if you've got a bad hand that you can't use anything with, you just basically get rid of it and get new
Yeah.
cards. Then you've got your items that you can attach stuff with. So you can attach an item to a Pokemon that maybe does extra damage to it or reduces damage done to yourself. And then you've got your energy cards, which obviously they're the main thing to use to attack. Some
And
Pokemon nowadays use 3 or 4 energy to attack.
how long does a game usually take to play?
In tournament play, you get 50 minutes to do 3 rounds. So it's
Right.
not a long time, but it's not too long where you to be all day playing the same person.
To be fair, it's quite a long time, 50 minutes for for me,
Oh,
a
yeah.
card game. Because obviously, if you go to a casino, you play like a basic card game. Now, obviously, it's a lot more basic. Pokemon's a
Yeah.
lot more in depth. But you're talking a few minutes, aren't you, and the game's done. But so this, I mean, 50 minutes is quite a long time. And this is what I was going to touch on before with opening the Pokemon card packs. You would get
Yeah.
the Pokemons, but you'd get these energy cards and trainer cards inside. And I would absolutely hate those because we didn't play the game. We were just purely collectors.
Yeah.
We really didn't care about those cards. And one time when we were kids, I remember one time, it was a sunny day, so it must have been the summer holidays. We sat down to have a tournament, but we did it I never knew that it was like a 60 card game. We did it more like actual Pokemon was, on the game where you could have 6 Pokemon
Yeah.
in your team. And we had no trader cards, no energy cards, nothing like that, because we're
Yeah.
too lazy to figure it out. No one
Yeah.
could be bothered looking into it. And plus, we knew there'd always be someone who would cheat and try and trick everyone else. So we thought, right, we'll just play it basically. The game's lasted about 2 minutes, quickly rolled through it. And that was the only time we ever played it. But yeah,
Yeah.
it was
You're almost like
enjoyable.
playing top trumps in a way, then, were you?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Like you'd be like, all right, my guy just took 50 off your guy because he had this move, so you've got 70 left, and then he'll hit back and it'd be quickly done. It was fun.
I'll admit, I used to do that originally when I first started back in the day because I
Yeah.
didn't know how to play. But it's like even nowadays, even back in the 90s, they had the built theme decks already pre-built. So you
Right.
can just
Okay.
basically add the instructions on how to play it and stuff. And even nowadays, when a new set comes out, they do what called a pre-release tournament, where you basically get a box with 4-pack booster packs in, and you get a pack of just cards with a promo in it, and then you get to build a 40 card deck with this because there's less cards to use, and then you basically play. It's basically a way to see the new cards 2 weeks before they're released to the general public, so you get to build a deck, and then you get to see how it works before you actually play properly with it in tournaments, which is quite fun actually.
Nice one, mate. But I think the thing that everyone wants to know, I think we've got to address it right now. It's the thing that everybody knows about Pokemon cards. It's the thing that everyone thinks about whenever you mention Pokemon cards. Did you have the elusive shiny Charizard from season 1?
That's a bad one. No, I didn't. I never got the Charizard. I mean, the shiny stuff didn't really come about up until a few years into it when I think how much set it was now. They were an older set that from the first few years they had shining cards like shiny Magikarp, shiny Charizard, and a few other different types. It came in to kind of get people's attention, but at the same time they made them that rare that you either search for years to get them or you just give up after a few attempts, which is what I did.
Yeah, because that first Charizard, the one that everyone always goes back to, that everyone really wants that Charizard. I mega wanted it as a kid. Like, I think one of my mates had it, and there was this little kid on the estate. Yeah, his name was Curtis, and he was a little shit, mate. I've not seen him for years. He's probably a really nice guy now, but like, he was a little shit back then. And he came up to me, and he came up to all the boys, and he was like, "Right, I've got this shiny Charizard, and I'm willing to swap it. What have you got?" So like, me and all the boys are fighting with each other, like, "I'm gonna swap. I want to swap." So like, I'm like, "Right, here's what I've got." Boom, 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 boom. I tell you that I've got, and I've got about 9 or 10 shinies at this point. Like maybe Blastoise, Ninetales, which is my favorite card, and all this other stuff. Yeah. And like, he goes, "Right, I'll trade you 9 cards." And go, "Right, I've got a few of them here. Let me go run to my house and like go get them." In the time that I run to my house and come back, he's decided now, right, I want all your shinies and a tenner. Now, we mentioned before that £2.50 was like 40 grand back in the day to a kid. Can you imagine what a tenner was like? I mean, I grew up on a council estate. A tenner, I'd never seen a tenner, mate, at that age. Never had a tenner in my life. How can I give you a tenner? So like, I basically had to pull out and say, no, like, I'm not giving you all my shinies and a tenner as well for this shiny Charizard. In hindsight, I wish I would have done it because of the value of that card and like the kind of emotional, like, emotive feelings that you get like when you look back in your memory and think of that shiny Charizard from back in the day. But I never got it.
No, I mean, even if I did have it, I probably sold it on the car boot for 50p, which is I'm gutted about now because even the first edition Charizard from the base set now, even in just a normal card as it is there and then, it's £10,000 easily.
Yeah,
but if you can get like what they call professional sports authenticators, you can get the card graded and put in a plastic sealed case, and that can go for thousands more. And it's just because it's sealed perfectly in time, can't get damaged ever again, and it's safe. And people go mad for them on eBay and on Facebook. If ever a Charizard goes on sale, it goes straight away.
Exactly, and it's incredible, isn't it? And I saw recently as well. Have you seen this? Like the most expensive Pokemon card, it's something like the Pokemon Illustrator card with the guy who drew it, and it went for like over 100 grand.
Yeah,
does that ring any bells?
There's a lot of them. Yeah, there's a few. It's a very very sharp print one, but there's I think there's like 10. I think.
Yeah.
And one of them is number one is basically the person who illustrates it has it. And then there's a few people within his team have got them, and not many have come into the general population. So if you do get hold of them, there's gold dust.
Yeah, were they like exclusives for like people who worked at the shop or not at the shop, but at the at Nintendo,
the factory
or
in the Game Freak, yeah,
like like when I saw that, because to me the original Charizard was like the card, you can't get bigger than that. But then I saw that this card was sold for even more, and I was like, wow, like it just blew my mind. That like
definitely,
it's kind of a niche within a niche, isn't it? That like everyone knows about Pokemon cards.
There are
a very rare thing.
Certain Charizard collectors in the community that basically just collect that one Charizard. Depending on what, even throughout the whole sets, you tend to find you get at least 1 or 2 sets per year that has a Charizard card in it, and one dropped last week. And I went and I spent £200, bought a load of pre-release kits, and I got a booster box with it. And in the booster box, I pulled this Charizard card, and it's like, well, in the Sun and Shield era, it's G-Max, Gigantamax, so they grow massive. And the VMAX Charizard card currently was £100 at the time. So I'd spent £200 on all these cards, single products, and one card alone was half my money back. I sold it within 5 minutes of it going on Facebook to someone he snapped it straight away. I've not seen it since because it meant to be so hard to pull, and now I've not been able to pull it since.
Yeah. Oh man, imagine if you
it's
kept.
Amazing,
I think you could have got more than 100 quid. You know, if you got 100 quid in 5 minutes, I think you could have waited 10 minutes and maybe got 110, maybe half an hour, got 120.
Yeah. The funny thing is now it's dropped down to about 80. So I've got £20 more than what. Yeah, it was the pre-release hype, which you get with every set that comes out.
Yeah.
Before it's released into normal stores, only place that do pre-release tournaments actually have the stock. So to get it, you pay top dollar, and he did, and he got I got looked at with it basically.
Yeah, but I mean that's great. Anytime that you can turn anything that's a passion of yours into money, like because you're gonna buy cards anyway, so like you've still got that exact same experience of buying those cards, but now
Definitely.
you've made £100 back out of it. So
Yeah.
it's happy days, that, isn't it?
Oh yeah. I mean, the most expensive card I've got in my set is again another Charizard. There are a mini set that came out this time last year, roughly, called Hidden Fates,
Yeah.
and it was a very short print. You couldn't buy a booster box of 36 packs for it. You could only buy the product in a pin collection, which came with 3 packs for £15, a tin for £20, which you got 4 packs, or you got other collection boxes which came with a few extra packs. And now I got the Charizard, which are a shine. It's a black Charizard, a beautiful card. And currently now, if you look on eBay or anything like that, you won't see one for any less than £500. Now, to
Wow.
most people, that's a mortgage payment per month. So that
Definitely.
is crazy to think that one tiny card is worth that much, and your house is worth that. You're like, if
This
I
is
ever
what a
need
lot.
to sell it, I will.
This is what a lot of people don't think of when they think of Pokemon cards. Like, oh, that's for kids. Oh, it's like a nerdy pastime or whatever. But
Yeah,
it's an
there's a lot of money
investment
in it.
still. Like,
Yeah.
you're not just having fun. You're making investments. Every time you buy
Yeah.
something and you end up with something rare, you've got an investment there that's
Definitely.
like gonna mature in value through the years as well. So if you need to cash
Yeah,
in,
I mean, that's
you've
my
got it.
retirement fund straight away.
Exactly. If you end up with like if you keep doing this over the years and keep collecting, because you said since 2017, it's only been 3 years. If you can keep going, you're gonna end up piling up these cards.
Oh yeah, definitely. I've got when I move into my new house, I've got a geek room, and that's where all my stuff's going. So eventually,
Yeah.
I'll have room. I'll put it in there. So and it's outside, out of mind. But if I get to the point where I've got a huge collection of very expensive stuff, I may have to move to an external storage place to keep it safe. But
Yeah.
you never know these days.
Nice one, man. I'm gonna have to come check that out sometime after a gig.
Oh yeah,
But
definitely. You're welcome anytime.
what's like your favorite card? I mentioned that my Ninetales card was my favorite, and the reason it was my favorite was because my sister very briefly got involved in wanting to like get involved in Pokemon, so she bought one of those booster packs that came with the Ninetales. So it's kind of our shared card that we had together, and I really
yeah.
like that about it. It's like a nice looking card, and no one else seems to tell us out of my mates as well. So what was your favorite card? Even to this day, what was it?
Back in the day, it was definitely Pikachu,
Right.
but nowadays it's a fairly new one from the Sun and Moon era called Silvally,
Okay.
which is like it's a Chimera kind of Pokemon. Basically, the story behind the Pokemon itself, it was created. I know I mentioned Necrozma earlier, the Ultra Beast and all that. This Silvally Pokemon is one of its kind. It was created in a factory in a lab to defeat the Ultra Beast. Now, obviously, you've got the different types of Pokemon, like the grass, fire, the water types. Silvally itself is a normal type Pokemon, so it has no, weak. It doesn't hit anything for weakness, but it's got little discs it can put in its head, which change its typing. So if you're going against an Ultra Beast that was a water type, you'd use grass to hit for weakness for it to knock it out easier. So in the video games, for example, or even in the card games, you've got the actual discs in card form to attach to it to make it that type, which is fascinating because you can basically change its typing so it hit for weakness against different Pokemon.
It is. To me, it's very interesting because it's not a community or a world that like I'm involved in anymore. But like because I had such an attachment to it when I was a child, and like even to this day, like if I'm bored, I can just throw on one of the Pokemon games, or I could even throw on one of the TV shows, watch it for 20 minutes, and enjoy it. So like, it's interesting to see like how it's evolved and how people are still involved in the community. Like one of my mates, Rick. Shout out to Rick, but like he's really involved in Pokemon still. Every time there's a game that comes out, he gets it. Anytime that I want to ask something about Pokemon cards, I'll just say to him like, "Oh, what's going on with this?" And he'll like explain to me like, "Blah blah blah this." So he's like involved, but it is intriguing to me that people like still like keep down with it and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm massive. I go through everything with it. So I've got the card game, the video games, I've got the TV shows, movies. I loved the Detective Pikachu movie last year when it came out. That was fantastic. That brought me back to my childhood again.
Do you know what?
It was like CGI, but I'm like, that's like it's like you said before, having Pokemon in the real world. That was it. That's how I saw it.
Exactly. Yeah,
fascinating.
That's what you like imagine when you're a child. Like, imagine if this was
Yeah.
real, and
And you
like,
see the fur on them and the scales and everything. You're
yeah,
like, wow, it's like seeing a real creature
it
in
was.
front of you.
It was so well made, especially when you compare it to the Sonic movie, and like it was a bit of a letdown, the Sonic movie, but the Pikachu film
Yeah,
to me
that
was
was aimed
incredible,
at
and like,
kids.
yeah. To be fair, if the Pokemon movie was aimed at kids, but even still, like, it was fantastic. It was a brilliant film to
Yeah,
watch. I went there. So again, let's link it back to the cards. When you went to the cinema, if you were one of the lucky first ones, you got an exclusive Detective Pikachu card. Did
I
you get
did.
one?
I
Which one
did.
did you get?
I got a Psyduck in the pack and a Pikachu, I think it was. And then you got the special promo Pikachu card, which was I've got it sealed still. I made sure I kept
Excellent,
that
man.
sealed.
So you got a few.
Yeah, I know. I think about 2 years ago when the other film came out, it was the cartoon film that came out. I'd
Yeah.
been at cinema and the lights went up. A load of kids in there. I mean, me and this guy that was sat next to each other, we didn't know each other, but we were there have a laugh chatting about it. I looked on the floor and kids just dropped the cards on the floor. So I'm like, they're picking them up as they're going along.
I would
It's
have
like, well,
I
I
would
think
have
I
done
picked
the
about
exact
five up.
same thing. I would have done the exact same thing because when I went to
Yeah,
Detective Pikachu, I went and paid for my ticket, and then they didn't give me anything. And like, as I went to hand my ticket to like the woman, I said like, "Oh, do you have like any of those cards left?" And she's like, "Let me go look for you." So she went to look, and I thought she was blagging me because when she left, I noticed on her stand where she was, there's like wedged into it was two of the cards. So I thought
yeah,
she's having me off here. I can see two cards there, so I quickly grabbed them and put them in my pocket. Went into the film, forgot all about it because my mate Rick, who I mentioned before, I knew that he'd gone to see the film before me, and he didn't
yeah,
get a card. Like, so I thought, right, I'm definitely going to ask when I go. And I thought, because he didn't get a card, there's two there. I'm going to keep one. I'm going to give one to my mate Rick. So anyway, when
yeah.
I left, the woman comes up to me like, "Oh, there you are. I found you this card," and she hands me one. And I thought, "Oh shit!" She wasn't trying to have me off anyway. Like, she wasn't trying to have me off. She just didn't realize those cards were there. And then I couldn't say no. I couldn't say like, "Oh no, I nicked two off your stand." So I just took a third one off her and ended up with three. So like, I kind of felt a bit bad in the end,
Nice.
but I gave one to my mate Rick in the end, and I gave one to my other mate. So like, we're all good now. So
Oh yeah,
I
karma.
think I've only got one less. So yeah, I kind of feel like it's all good. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's got like a fair trade out of it.
See, even when Detective Pikachu came out in the cinemas, they had their own line of cards for the game as well for that. And
Right.
every single card in them packs was a holo, shiny.
Right.
So
Okay.
literally, it was like I think there were like 20 cards in the whole set, but they
Yeah.
brought out like collection boxes for them with like Greninja, Charizard, and Mewtwo in like the full picture form. It was amazing, and I've completed the whole set because I'm a big nerd and I spent a lot of money on it to get the set.
Hmm.
But it was
Hey,
just like
why not?
it's a collection I've completed, which I'm happy about.
Exactly. And if it's something that you enjoy, why not spend money
Oh
on it?
yeah,
People
definitely.
people spend money on far worse stuff that they enjoy that really ends up
Oh yeah,
ruining their lives. If you can spend money on stuff that like is going to be valuable in the future that you can cash in on
yeah.
at any time, why not do it? You can't cash in on heroin once it's done. It's done. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely not. No, yeah, it
But
ruins your body.
did you go to see the original Pokemon film when it came into the cinema?
I did, and I've got the promo cards from that still.
Oh,
They're ones that I kept hold of.
this is what I was going to ask. So what did you get? What did you get?
Um, I think I got the Mewtwo originally and the Dragonite because I think I went
Right.
to watch it twice. I think I got
Yeah,
a Dragonite because I know back then they actually had like the gold stamp on it as well in the
they
picture
did.
with the
Yep.
Pokemon logo and then the
Hmm.
number on it. I think there were about 20 different promos you get for it. I think with the DVD as well, you got a different type of Mewtwo, which was like a hand drawing one, which
I
are
didn't
really
know
nice.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, I think
'cause
I've got hold of one of them still.
I got the Dragonite as well when I went, but I remember. Well, I got a Dragonite or Electabuzz, whichever one I didn't
Yeah,
get. Ended up trading for the other one from someone else because
yeah,
they either traded it with me or they didn't want it, and I was like, to me, if someone's offering me a Pokemon card, especially at that point, knowing that this is like an exclusive one, it's like saying, "Hey, do you want some gold dust?" I was like, "Of course, fucking yeah, give it me, I'll
yeah.
take it." So like somewhere at my mum's, like in my bedroom, in my mess of a bedroom at my mum's house, it must be in there somewhere, like still to this day. Like if
Oh,
ever I went,
I'd have a look for that.
to be fair, like I go back sometimes and I'll look through my stuff, and it's just, there's loads of stuff on the shelves that I'm just like, oh, I can't bother looking through this, and I look at one or two things, but that's more about how messy I was as a child, I suppose. But yeah, here's a story for you. Actually, I went to Hong Kong last year, yeah,
Yeah,
and when I went to Hong Kong, I went to Moncock, which I think it was Moncock, which is like a fake market. Not a fake, yeah, kind of is a fake market where
Yeah,
like people get like fake Yeezys and fake like Balenciaga shoes and stuff like that. And I'm just
yeah,
wandering around. I didn't have much money left. I was a bit skint by that point. But I noticed a woman. She had like a sealed box of Pokemon cards, and she was selling them to me for like the equivalent of like £7. And it's like 25 packs in this box. So I'm
yeah.
like, that's not a bad deal. That like £7 for like 25 packs. Yeah, I'll get that. Anyway, got home, left them sealed, got back to England, just left them on my shelf like a few weeks. Opened them, getting some. They're fakes, aren't they? They're fake
Yeah.
cards. So I've got a box of like 25, 50 packs of fake Pokemon
China are
cards.
bad for that. They've got, I mean, if you look on like Wish.com and stuff like that, the
Yeah,
site's available everywhere. But basically, you go on there, you see the full booster box, like would be normally £100, £110 in a normal shop where you buy them from.
yeah,
But if you go on Wish, it's a tenner. Now, as a parent type of thing, I'm not a parent myself, but as a parent, you see a pack of Pokemon cards for £10
discount
and you get
price.
a full
Yeah,
36. You think, wow, it's cheap.
don't
You
know the
buy them, then
difference
you get
yet.
the fake. Then their kid, then takes them cards to school, trades them with their friends, and then they've got fake cards and they've traded real cards for them.
Yeah,
And it damages. I mean, it damages the community as well because you see them on eBay all the time.
do
Someone pulls
you?
a Charizard out of a pack and they're like, "Oh, it's worth £200." You put it on. Some sucker is going to buy it and then realize it's fake and it's not even worth a penny.
Yeah,
And it's gutting because people put hard-earned money, like I have. I put hard-earned cash into this game and to collect and to play, and then because you can't play the tournaments in legally with fake cards because
yeah, sure.
it's not right.
Because otherwise, you could just
People,
draw any card up if you could just use a fake one. Do you know what I mean? And then use
well,
that.
yeah, I mean you can use them. Basically, people use the fake ones as proxies if you haven't actually got the real card
Right.
to play with. So it's a way of doing it. I mean, you can go onto websites, you can print off the actual cards themselves to be able to play
Right.
with beforehand if you don't have the cards. So
Yeah.
it's however you want to play.
Yeah, that is a big issue actually with the fake stuff, I suppose. But I'll tell you what, Mark. I'll tell you what. Next time I see you, I'm going to bring a pack of my fake Pokemon cards, and I'm going to give them to you to unbox. That's my present to you. I mean, you know that it's only cost me about 7p, so I can't act high and mighty like I'm doing you a huge favor. But yeah, you can have a free pack of fake Pokemon cards on the house from me.
I'd appreciate that. And what I'll do, I'll show you some of the cards I've got, and you can see them side by side, see which ones are fake and which ones are real. You can see, you can tell the difference. Because
Perfect.
you'll tend to find fake ones are really glossy and shiny looking
Mm.
to see on the surface, whereas the more of a matte kind of like, there's no
Finish.
like reflection of light. Yeah, doesn't look laminated as such.
Yeah, I noticed they were fake because, like, when I was like, flicking them through my hands to move them, they were kind of like sticking to each other, but like,
Yeah, they do.
and like, it
And
was really weird.
you'll notice as well some of the Pokemon that evolve. If you look in the top left hand corner, you'll see it evolves from a completely different Pokemon. So like Charizard will evolve from a Weedle, which
Because
is not right
they've
at
not
all.
changed the generic thing, like the
Yeah,
template they were
yeah.
using. Cheeky
And then you'll
bastards,
see
man.
like the attacks are different, and even like the names are spelt wrong sometimes.
Yeah, bloody
It
hell.
just looks really, really bad. Yeah,
Well,
you can tell they're bad.
if you're gonna rip off an innocent little English tourist like me, at least put the effort in, Hong Kong. Come on, at least put the effort in.
Yeah.
So, what's all this I'm hearing about like online play then? Because I hear you can play the card game online. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, so basically on any like iPad or tablet, Android or anything like that,
Mm.
or even on your computer, you can download the Pokemon trading card game online app, and then you can play. Now, if you're buying packs in real life anyway and getting the cards, you do get a code card in there which got like a QR number and then like a long
Yeah.
16-digit number where you
Hmm.
can actually type that in online on the Pokemon website, and then you can open packs online to get your cards, so you can build a deck and play online. A lot of people, I mean, especially now when during lockdown you can't actually play the game in real life,
Yeah.
and for the foreseeable future, all tournaments are cancelled. So the only way you can play is online. So that's the best way to test new decks out, new ideas before sending them out to the real world and losing badly with it.
That's interesting. Actually, I never thought of it like that. But I guess it's like a kind of e-training for it, isn't it?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
how do you find these competitions then? Because I mean, I'm on the internet all the time. I'm on Facebook all the time, and I never see anything to do with like Pokemon competitions. But it's something that, like, if it was in my area, I might go down and check it out. I might go have a look at it. So, like, how do people find it?
Yeah, so I mean, most large cities and towns will have like a hobby shop, card shop, game shop. Like you'll see like Warhammer, which used to be, I can't remember what it used to be called.
Games
But
Workshop.
yeah, Games Workshop. So yeah, you've got them places like that. They generally stick to their own thing. But in Wakefield, where I live, we've got a shop called Comic Book 616 and the Games Pit that both sell card games. They sell Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh, Vanguard, everything Pokemon, and eventually may and sell different types of games going forward. But you go to them shops, usually they're cheaper than retail price as well because they try and undercut the other places to get the sales. Plus, they hold tournaments. The Games Pit, for example, they've got a massive room upstairs where you can play the games. They've got tables set out,
Yeah.
and they can hold 60 people for tournaments for the whole shop, which is amazing. The prizes when you play the games, if you've got like a leaderboard like you do in a football tournament, for example.
Yeah.
And the person right at the top of the board, if they won all 5 games, if they win, 5 out of 5, they get 10 booster packs for free.
Yeah.
You do have to pay for entry. So, for example, you pay £10 entry fee for it, and the people who don't win as many games don't get any packs at all.
Yeah.
So that the way the prizes stack up towards the top end of your leaderboard, make up for not getting packs at the bottom. So the star still gets it.
Do these tournaments still kind of like last all day though? Like, say you're one of the crap ones who like at the bottom of the table. Does like your day still last all day playing?
I mean, people.
Or would you be knocked out after one game? Or
no, I mean, people who are serious about the game, who play it for more than a hobby, play it to win games and win tournaments. If they've lost 2 or 3 games and it's like a 9-round tournament, they'll drop out of the tournament and go home because they know they can't win it. And if they know they can't win, they won't bother playing. And then people like me who are mid-table constantly, I start moving up the table because they've dropped out, so my wins count for more. But I still end up like, I think the nearest I've been to winning a tournament is like 2nd place.
not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not first. But I think there were only about 8 people playing at that point as well, because it's not a vote. Basically, you get points for winning like the tournaments. So I think for like winning like a cup, you get like 50 points.
Yeah,
and that goes towards like the big tournaments like this year. Think of this month actually. Yeah, like this weekend coming up should have been the World Championship tournament for Pokemon down at the Excel in London. It would be the Excel in London, and everyone from all over the world will come into it.
Is that the kind of thing that you would go to, or like is it a pay barrier to get in, or?
It's a points barrier, so you have to.
Okay, you wouldn't qualify.
300 points, I believe. I think it's like 250 or 300 points from smaller tournaments to be able to get an invite to it. I could have gone down there just to see the shops, little kiosks,
the stalls
and all that, but it's expensive going down there. But to get an invite to that, then obviously, but now it's been cancelled. They're moving it to next year, and your points that you've got from this year so far. I mean, I've got like 20 points so far for the year. They've carried over to next year, so I've still got a chance of be able to go down there as a player. So I'm hoping to try and like get serious with it and kick ass a bit.
Hey, fingers crossed for you, man. Fingers crossed. So, like, where is it you buy your cards from then? So, like, you mentioned before that, like, a parent can easily get ripped off by, like, seeing on Facebook, like, wish.com, these 10 quid fake packs. Like, where's the best place to buy them? Because I only see them in places like Tesco and stuff like that, and they're always, like, $4.50.
Yeah. So, go to your local game shops, your hobby shops like that, so you can buy card games. Like I said, I mentioned Games Pit. If you're in, like, Sheffield, for example, you've got Patriot Games. Huddersfield has IQ Games. There's quite a few different places.
Shout out to Slice and Dice in Bolton, by the way. We've got our own game
Slice and
shop.
Dice.
I've never been in, but like, I might check
it
out now.
Another one. There's plenty in Manchester as well. They've actually got a professional team that play the game as well and go to every tournament in Manchester. Shout out to Team MCR if they hear it, if they listen to this podcast. They probably won't. But basically them as well. Like, but if you can't find any shops like that. You've got Smith's Toy Store who sell them, Asda
Oh yeah,
Living,
yeah.
Sainsbury's, who've just started keeping up to date with the latest stock. Right now, there's a massive deal on with Pokemon cards. If you go to like Asda Living, you can get a pack of 3 cards for $9.97, or the brand new set comes with a limited edition pack free with it. So you pay £4 for the pack, you get the latest set, and you get one set behind it, which is like the one that came out 3 months ago.
Nice.
Now,
Is that
that's a
from Asda?
bargain
Did you say?
because that's from Asda, yeah. Well, you can get from most stores now, but
Yeah.
Asda are doing the 3 packs for a bit cheaper. But I've spent a lot of money this week on buying the double packs for £4 because you're paying £2 a pack.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You can't get that anyway. A booster box of 36 packs is £110 in most places. To get double that for 140, you're gonna take it out. You're gonna buy it. It's a lot better, and you still got the chance of pulling that £100 card and selling that on for more and getting more packs for it.
I'm quite intrigued actually. I kind of feel like one day if I'm going past an Asda, I might just nip in and like see if I can find one of these packs and just get 2 for
Definitely
£4
do.
or whatever it is. Just check it out.
They're definitely worth it because what I tend to do as well is another shout out here to a guy called Nicholas Miller. Is a good friend of mine on the Facebook groups I participate in. He buys all the unwanted cards off me, the what we call bulk cards. So
Yeah.
all your basic common cards that you get in the packs that you don't want, he will basically trade them off you and give you sealed product. So
Right.
instead of keeping thousands and thousands and thousands of cards in my room collecting dust, I give them to him and say, for example, one booster pack's worth 100 basic cards.
Right.
So to get a whole booster box of cards, 36 packs, you're looking at 2,500 cards trading easily. And that's just saving room. You get rid of a load of them and then you get some new stuff back, which I do quite often with him because I do buy a lot of packs. I've got currently about 5,000 cards sat in a box waiting to send to him.
Yeah.
Which gives me
your maths is incredible when it comes to Pokemon cards. By the way, it's incredible. Like straight away, just reeling off numbers like like 7 cards in a pack, 10 packs in a booster pack, then this and this and this. And I traded for this is 2.75, Jeff. 2.75. So right, cool. So that's a good breakdown. So like I say, I might check that out in Asda. So right, I think we've covered Pokemon cards like quite nicely. I was going to ask a question, but I'll ask it at the end. Like, what do you think then of the Pokemon games? Because you said that you're a fan of them. Just very briefly, let's touch on it. Like, give me your thoughts on the Pokemon games from Blue upwards. Like, because to me, when Red and Blue came out, that was because I'm not a fan of games. I like sports games, and that's all I like because that's all my mind can handle. But when Pokemon came out, I dived right into it, and I was well up for that. And like I say, even to this day, if I put one on, I'd enjoy playing it for a good few hours. So let's go back and what do you think of them?
I loved them. I mean, back in the day, there were only 151 Pokemon, so there wasn't a massive range. But now there's touching on 900 Pokemon, which is a silly amount of Pokemon, to the point where the newest games, like the Sword and Shield games, they haven't got all of them on there. They started out with 400. Then when they got the expansion that came out a few months ago, they added another 200 onto it. And then the next one in a few months' time is going to add a few more onto it. And it's just eventually they want them all on there, but they can't handle it. The game will just crash if you've got all of them in one go.
Sure.
And there's too much to do, and people get bored of trying to find them because there'll be 800 different Pokemon running around, and you're trying to find one specific one.
That's madness, man. That there's
balmy.
So many, because like I say, I was playing that back in the day where you could probably only get like 101, I think it was, you could get on Blue, and 101 in Red, and then you could like trade some over. But like that wasn't a lot. Like you could get about 25 within like an hour, I think, if you did a bit.
Definitely
did a bit of training up. So so that's the games covered then slightly. What out of all the games, which one's your favourite?
I think if I have to kind of like look back at what the games, because I missed quite a few of the games out over the past, but I think I did like the Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire range. They basically remade Ruby and Sapphire from the like early 2000s. I I think it's going back 4 or 5 years ago, maybe. They remade it into like a different version. And they
What was
brought
so
Mega
different
Pokemon in.
about the? Oh,
They
right,
added,
okay, so
yeah, they added a Mega Evolution, which is like a temporary evolution
right.
that you had to have a bond with that Pokemon to be able to, be able to evolve it into this newer form.
Okay.
So Charizard turned from orange into a black Charizard with blue flames coming out its face.
Right.
And
Wow.
back when you think that, you're like, wow, okay, that's a
And
nice different.
is that counted as a new number of Pokemon? Because like Charizard was he number 3 or something like that in the original set? So
6.
was it 6? Yeah. So
Yeah,
would
no,
then
it doesn't. It's just
okay.
basically on the Pokedex. It enters as a different form of it.
Right.
So, like, I mean, more recently, like in the Sun and Moon and the Sword and Shield era, they've got the specific forms for that. So in Sun and Moon, it'd be Alola form. So you had like
Right.
Meowth had a different look. They had Raichu different. Marowak, for example. Just thinking back to the Kanto region version of the Pokemon,
Yeah.
they had different looks and the different typings of them as well. So Marowak was a psychic type and instead of a fire type, which is mad to think about in the slightest.
Was that ever reflected in the cards as well, or did the cards just
Yeah,
stick to? Okay.
yeah. So some of the Pokemon have like different typings, like in the game and in the card game. So can't try and think of one now. Like I said, Marowak was a psychic and fire type. They had, well, back in the early 2000s, there were Blastoise, which were a ground type as well as a
Yeah.
water type, which is good. And some of about 4 or 5 years ago, there's some cards that had the 2 different typings on one card. So Volcanion, a legendary Pokemon, was a water and a fire type. To make it a steam type.
Sorry, I've just jogged my memory a little bit. Was the tag team cards as well, or am I making that up?
Yeah, in last year, the tag team cards came out in the Sun and Moon era, so they had like 2 Pokemon in one.
Yeah.
So they're like Eevee and Snorlax together. They had
Right.
Muck and Alolan Muck, Pikachu and Zekrom, and they're really, really good cards, but overpowered as well because they're basic types. So you didn't have to evolve them. They had a
Yeah.
massive HP, so they're like some of them had 300 HP, which is mad when you think about it. As a 10-year-old, that'd blow your mind having 300
Yeah.
HP.
Because what was Charizard like 120?
100, 120, yeah, so it wasn't a
Yeah.
lot. So that would blow your mind to having that. And having this kind of artwork on the cards as well would blow your mind thinking back to it.
Yeah, definitely.
But having 2 Pokemon on there, like, if you had 2 favourite Pokemon and they're on the same card, you'd be like, that's your dream come true type of thing.
Yeah.
But then the attacks were stupidly big as well. So, like, Pikachu and Zekrom had 240 HP. Its basic attack did 150, and you got to attach 3 energy to it.
Mm.
And then it's one attack you can use once per game did 300, which
Wow.
is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, wow, okay, so yeah, that's dead straight away. You're like, it's mental how they got, and now even like in the Sword and Shield era, there's a V and V maxes, and even them are like 340 HP.
Wow.
I didn't think they could break the ceiling.
Yeah, so way higher then. So
yeah,
that's interesting.
But
man.
then the attacks they also relate to that as well. So the attacks are higher up damage as well.
So what? Okay, we covered the games then. What about the TV show? What did you think of that? Because like I was really, really into it the first series, and I couldn't wait for the next series. And I did enjoy watching the next series, but I just fell off. I got a bit older. I wasn't really watching cartoons as much anymore. To this day, I really want to go back and watch them all, and I kind of have been going back and once every month or so I'll watch like one episode, but I do want to go back and watch them. So
there's plenty of websites you can go on, some unofficial ones where you can pirate sites, and then there's an official Pokemon app you can get for your iPad and computer where you can go back and watch them. Plus I believe Netflix, I think it is, have them, and
I think they do have some
channels on Sky. Netflix has got the latest series of Pokemon Journeys, which is through the new series. They've got that on at the moment, and I use Kiss Anime, which is a Russian website, to go and watch the older series on there.
So do you like only watch the old series, or do you watch some of the new series, or where do you stand with that?
I've kept up to date with the latest series, like the Sun and Moon era and now the Sword and Shield era. I've kept up to date with them series, and it's just like it's amazing. I mean, spoilers here. Turn off if you don't hear it. Ash actually finally won a tournament. He won a Pokemon League in Sun and Moon.
Do you know what? I think I saw that on like someone like Lad Bible shared it or something like that on Facebook.
Yeah,
it is
it's
big
a big
news.
thing.
It's stuff that like we all grew up with.
Yeah, I got goosebumps watching the anime again. When Ash won the tournament, basically Tapu Koko on who were fighting against, let him use a Z move, what they call it's one per match. Let him use it again, and he used like going to like referencing Dragon Ball Z. Pikachu used like a Kamehameha wave, like shot at like a million bolt thunderbolt at him and knocks it out in one shot, and it looks amazing. And it's just like they did like a slow mo where he'll talk to Pikachu and say, "We feel this power since the first day we arrived on the island, and now we've got this power inside us, and we're going to use it to beat him." And then he's like, and shot him with this massive thunderbolt, and it was like so amazing. It reminds me of like the first episode when he beat all them Spiro in one shot.
It's one of those things.
Came full circle.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things for me that like I really wish that I kind of did keep up with it all these years, so I could have experienced that, like that moment of seeing it and experience it. So like, yeah, because I mean, I used to love the TV show. So what about the movies? Then we mentioned Detective Pikachu earlier and how great it was, and we mentioned the first movie, which I went to watch at the cinema. And I'll be honest with you, it was a bit of a disappointment for me. And I know there's quite a few in the middle of it which I have not seen. And I saw recently they did a remake of the first film as well, which I thought
that was
better. I thought it was actually better than the original, you know.
Really?
Yeah,
it looks kind of like cartoony.
Yeah, I didn't like the look of it, but I don't know why. I was just really disappointed with the original. But yeah, talk me through the rest of them. What, like, just briefly, what did you think of your films?
So yeah, I mean, I've pretty much caught up with most of the films. I mean, some of the older films I haven't really been interested in, but even like there's been like the one came out 2 years ago, I believe it was basically the original first series of the anime made into a movie with new additions, like he was chasing Ho-Ho. Like you saw from the first episode, that feather fell down.
Yeah.
He actually finds Ho-Ho, and it's got all the newer Pokemon in it. So it's almost like, we haven't added new Pokemon because we've made new characters. They've always been there from the beginning, but you've never seen them. But now you have.
Yeah.
Then like they seem to now introduce new Pokemon, especially for movies. Like one that came out last year, Power of Us. It introduces Zeraora as a new Pokemon, which then came around in the games as a promo Pokemon. Where you can only get it from going to like game, or getting a code from like what's in the movie itself.
Yeah,
you could only get it from that way. After that, you couldn't get it. And then there's a new movie coming out, Pokemon Coco, later this year, I think, or next year for us, which has a new Pokemon again called Zarude. It's like a monkey.
Right, okay.
Again, that you've got that get a Pokemon coming into the games then. So it's like you can only get them from this certain event.
Yeah. So which is your favourite out of all the films then? Is it Detective Pikachu? Because I mean, I've only seen 2, but that's mine. Well, I've seen 3 technically.
I think that overall, because of the nostalgia, and plus Ryan Reynolds is hilarious. So you've got to love him. It's Pikachu is Deadpool.
Yeah, it's class, isn't it?
So it's I love it.
Again, another thing that we should definitely talk about and definitely touch on is Pokemon Go. It's a thing that really reignited Pokemon and really thrust it back into the mainstream, didn't it? So I played it for a while. I didn't like it too much because like there was no really gyms to beat. There was certain places where you could become like, I don't know what it was, but you could take over certain places, couldn't you? And people could turn up there and beat you.
Like little gyms and like they do raids now and stuff.
Yeah.
Originally, when it first came out, it wasn't actually a Pokemon company product they made.
Right. Okay.
Eventually, Niantic basically joined Pokemon Company, and they now officially release it as a Pokemon item. It's official and everything, so they update it as it goes along, and they've got full control over it now.
Nice.
Which
so,
kind of like,
do you play it much, or have you got your hands tied so much in the other stuff that you don't really have time for it?
I mean, being a postman, I walk around all day. I walk 10 miles a day, so I can hatch
Yeah.
eggs like that straight away.
Oh, that's
I've
true. Yeah.
hatched 2 eggs today. It's just so easy, and you get to catch Pokemon all the time, spin Pokestops, go do gyms, put stuff on, and it's so easy to just walk around and do that. And they've got the new thing where you can actually walk one Pokemon with you,
Right.
and it collects candy, so you can actually use the candy to evolve it.
Do you know
So
what? I can just imagine waiting for a delivery from you, and I can see you outside. I'm like, what's he fucking doing? He's been stood there 5 minutes on his phone, and you're there, buddy.
catching
Play,
catching the thing, yeah.
trying to catch something, and I'm like, come on, like, bring me my delivery, like, dying for it.
Yeah.
That's cool, man.
I
Like,
go,
I say,
"Here's your
I
parcel.
dropped,
I'll file on a Pokemon card over here."
yeah, exactly, yeah, bond with them. I really fell off with Pokemon Go, but I did really enjoy it at the start, and like, it is a game that kind of could consume me. And I thought I got to the
Yeah.
point where I was like, I'm just gonna give up on it because like I could have just played it non-stop and had like been like glued to my phone because I've got that
Yeah.
kind of addictive personality. which I
Especially during lockdown when like they actually made it so you can
Oh,
actually
yeah.
do raids from your bedroom, so you could sit
Right.
here and raid with from like 2 miles down the road, which
Right, yeah.
is good because they encourage you to stay at home. But
Yeah.
at the same time, the whole point of having Pokemon Go is to go out and explore and find new Pokemon in different places. I remember
Didn't-
driving to a certain place because they had a Aerodactyl.
Yeah.
And back then, there was a website or an app you can get which told you where Pokemon spawned, so you knew you could go and guarantee to get one. So I went and drove like 2-3 miles just to find this one Pokemon. That's where you know you go too far.
Going back to my mate Rick, he was definitely driving around looking for Pokemon as well. I mentioned Rick a few
Yeah.
times. He's probably listening to this, so shout out Rick again once again. But so did you play any of the, like, just to switch it back to the cards? Then did you play any other like card games? Because I know like Magic of the Gathering is like a really big thing, and I know like a lot of people play
Yeah.
that. Like Matt Downey, we all know Matt. Like shout out to Matt. Like I know Matt's. I don't know if he plays it anymore, but I know that he knows a lot about that kind of world. So
Yeah.
what about you? Did you get involved in that?
I used to buy Digimon cards back in the day. I
Right.
bought a few Magic the Gathering cards
Mhm.
packs when Otter's books were still going. Shout out to them because they're gone now. R.I.P. But yeah, I bought a few packs from them and looked at it. I'm like, no, I can't stand it whatsoever.
Yeah.
And then recently as last October, I believe, I bought a booster box of the Dragon Ball Super card game that just started coming over here.
Right.
And that is just such a head fuck. I don't even know how the hell people play it.
Hey, mate, that's
It's
how I
just-
feel when you're explaining like how
Yeah.
the energy cards and all that work. To be honest with you, so
But
I know how you feel.
you put your main attacker down, then you've got to put certain cards down to add hit points to it and add power to it, and
Yeah.
use certain cards. They turn them sideways, and like what? And the cards are like the 2-sided. You can basically change it. It's like obviously Goku goes from being Super Saiyan to God. You're like, that's just what? I've got a booster box of cards. I've collected this full set from one booster pack box, whereas with Pokemon, you could buy 6 booster boxes and not complete it, and there'd be nowhere near completing it. But
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Oh, fair enough, man.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. Let's try something fun. Actually, like I was just about to like start signing off, but let's try something fun before we go. Let's talk about some stand-up comics that we know. Let's match them to the Pokemon. So we'll just do like word association. So I'll name the stand-up comedian, and what I've done is I'm going to pull your Facebook up now. 1 second,
Yeah.
I'm halfway through doing it.
While you're doing that, I'll apologise to any comedians who feel they may be insulted by my choice of Pokemon for them.
I was going to act all professional and be like, oh, I've already done it, but I'll be honest with you, I'm still. Yeah, there we go. We've done it now. Mutual friends. So I'm just going to go from the top and go on down. So, first one, someone we both know very well, Keith Wilde.
Ooh, he's definitely a monkey. Passimian.
Do you know what? I was going to go for like Jigglypuff, like sing you to sleep.
Yeah, that's probably a better one. That Jigglypuff. Yeah. And
I
he'd
was
get
going to go
angry,
there.
he'd fall asleep, and he'd start pranking you.
He'd start
He'd
giving
put your hand in a bottle of water.
Start giving you a birthday treat, wouldn't he? We won't go there. Anyway.
Yeah.
Paul Campbell.
Teeth out. Paul Campbell. Ooh. Mr. Mime.
Mime, okay.
Because he's kind of like, he doesn't like to talk much. in his way type of thing.
True.
And he's got
That's a good shout.
he's got a different persona. He acts as someone else.
How about Johnny Brook?
Snorlax. Sorry, Johnny, but Snorlax because you eat a lot and sleep a lot. To be fair,
Do you know
so
what?
yeah,
I think he might be quite proud of that one. You know, I think he'll take. I think he'll take that one on the chin. I think he'll be all right with that.
he'd be happy with that.
Yeah, man.
I can hear his dirty laugh now.
How about the mighty Swab?
Mighty Swab. Ooh, Orangaroo, because he's like an old like monkey, and he's like wise and all knowing.
You love
And
going back
makes
to the
good
monkeys.
drinks.
You love going back to the monkeys on this.
Yeah.
So,
There's a lot
Adam
to go through.
Hughes.
Adam Hughes. Oh, that's a tough one. That it's a bit of a firecracker, isn't he? I'd like to say he's a Charmeleon. He's got an attitude and he's quite fiery. So yeah,
Jack Kelly.
he's got quite a high voice as well. So I'd say maybe. I don't know.
Graham Rayner.
Hitmonchat, maybe. Graham Rayner. Ooh. Hariyama. Because he's got a bit of a punch to him and he's quite stocky.
Okay, I don't know that one, but Osama Khan.
Ooh.
Oh, it's got to be bloody. What's it called? What's that bloody character called now? I can't think of the name, but I know the one. I'll try and think of it later. Ivaldus.
He'd be a Hitmonlee.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Go around knocking people out?
Yeah.
Right, nice. I just want to find one more. Let's. I want to pick a good one. I'm trying. Let me see that. I'll tell you what. We'll end on you. What Pokemon would you refer to yourself as? Yeah, if you could choose any to embody you, who is it? What Pokemon is it?
Ooh. I don't know. That's quite a tough one. That I think because I'm quite lanky. It'd have to be a tall Pokemon like Blaziken, maybe. He's one of the start Pokemon. Yeah, he's quite fiery and he's quite tall.
I don't know who that is. I don't know why I went into that because after Pokemon, I didn't know who they were, so I can't even play along. So
yeah. Now everyone you've mentioned, who if they watch this, they're going to be googling who I said.
Going to be googling who it is. Yeah. So
yeah.
Right. Last question then, the biggest one. What do you think the legacy of Pokemon cards is? Because it was so big when we were kids. I don't know what kind of level it's at today in terms of the mainstream. It's not at the level it was back then, obviously. But what do you think the legacy is? Because those cards are still worth so much.
Yeah, the older cards are definitely worth a lot, and even like people now, they do get them graded, and they're worth even more now. I mean, some of the cards now are worth more than what the older ones are. So I think as a collector, the value keeps going up and up. I mean, I've got a sealed booster box of what they call Evolutions. It's from about 2016,
right?
But it's a reprint of the original base set.
Right,
and it's only going to go up in value. I bought it for 110, and they're still going for about 160 now. It's climbing up slowly, so it's going to be one of those you hold it for 20 years, and it might be worth 1,000 by then.
Yeah,
so it's something I'm going to keep sealed, and hopefully by then I'll still be playing, still be collecting, and there'll be cards worth more. Or who knows? The future is what Pokemon want to make it. If they want to stop at any point, it'd be silly for them to do it because they're printing money at the moment.
Definitely. Now, I think the legacy is, like, from talking to you, that like it may not be the mainstream phenomenon that it once was, but if you're a collector, it's still as big as ever to the collectors because the collectors are still paying big money for it. But I think we've come to the end of
nostalgia.
Exactly, and that's what this podcast's all about. It's all about nostalgia. We've come to the end of the road now. So, Mark, thank you very much for joining me today. Before you get off, do you have anything you want to plug today?
I mean, yeah, I've got 2 gigs coming up at the beginning of September in Sheffield, one at Toolmakers and one at Kelham Island, the mill owners. The Toolmakers one is the 3rd of September, and the 7th of September is the mill owners.
There you go, everyone.
Get back gigging again. It's finally happening.
Yeah, man.
And then my gigs in Wakefield and Doncaster, hopefully, should be starting up once the bars open again. They're opening this Friday, so
Cool.
tomorrow. So with
Right.
a bit of luck, I'll be able to get them started up again and book you.
Top man, exactly. Yeah, book me even better. So, Mark, thank you very much for coming on today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting
No
me.
worries. I've been Adam Anwar. He's been Mark Antony. This has been Pokemon Cards. Hit the subscribe button, drop us a comment down below, and we'll see
catch
you
'em
all
all.
very soon. And you gotta catch them all. Great ending that, Mark. I cut you off. Sorry, mate. That was fantastic.